Okay, so this is episode 2 of the AFROmind Podcast
Yes.
with me, myself, and Dr. Lewis. So today we are going to talk about, we have some trending topics that we are going to talk about. Some of the videos, you may have seen them around either TikTok, Instagram, or just in the social media space. So those are the things that we are going to talk about today. Subscribe for your
Follow.
comments in the comment section and share your opinions. All right.
Respectfully, please. Yes.
Okay. So we have about 5 topics that we are going to talk about, all in the African space. The first thing is there is a video of a pastor with multiple passports, people's passports. I don't know if he's at a Tria Mountain or wherever he is, and he's praying over those passports. Like, what is the first thing that came to your mind when you saw this whole occurrence? Occurring.
This is my. I honestly don't have a problem with people, of course, praying. Right. My problem has always been, as a community, we zone in so much on prayer and we leave out the physical action. Because no, by all means, go and pray. But you'd be surprised that these people that have their passports there for the pastor to be praying on, they probably have never gone to the website of the country they're trying to, apply visa from. You understand? Well, you haven't even checked the visa requirements.
Yeah.
But you have sent your passport for them to be praying on top. How are you? It won't make any difference.
Okay.
You understand? So now, if you have already applied, you've set up your interview, you've paid your interview fee, and you're getting ready to go, and you want your pastor to pray on it for you, at least you've done all your what you humanly can do,
Okay.
right? And you want some divine intervention. I can't fault you for that,
Okay.
right? So for somebody who has done that, but what are the chances
Yeah. What are the chances that they have taken
that the
the
person
human steps?
who has sent the
Yeah.
passport to somebody to be praying on top of it like that
Because even if
has
you're
done these things?
somebody is praying over your passport, so what's wrong with you praying over your own passport?
No, I mean, really, I don't have a problem whatsoever having, because obviously, typically, it's a case of me. I believe in this person and the connection to God. I'm not the most religious person, you would meet, but like, so I grew up Catholic. I am Catholic, and as Catholics, at some point, I don't know what, like rosaries and rosary rings and such like that. When I was growing up, when I would get a rosary ring, I would take it to the father.
Okay.
The priest will do their thing on my rosary or my rosary ring and give me, right? I know that there were times when you would actually we'll bring water to church and they would bless it, insurance, so they would take the insurance home. And sometimes when, like, whether you're going to take a shower, you go and fetch small insurance and put it in the big bucket of water that you use to bath, right? So I get somebody wanting their priest or their pastor to pray over their passport.
Okay.
My problem has always been, don't leave out the physical
Aspect of it.
like the nipasuba and the part where you have to do as a human, because you cannot. I don't think you can end up in the US or Germany when you have not scheduled a visa interview. No matter how many times the pastor prays on your passport, if you don't do those active steps, it no go happen.
It's not going to happen. Also, don't you think that maybe the economic situation in Ghana, that's why this is even a thing?
Well, obviously, like, I think desperation will make you do ridiculous things, right? So it's obviously a huge part of it, but no matter how broke you are, if somebody prays on your passport and you don't do anything, you won't end up in Germany. That's what I'm trying to say. You understand? Or if, I don't know, I feel like if you have whatever amount of money you need to make the passport, right, and you have no plan, like no tangible plans to actually go anywhere, to go and spend the money to go and your small money to go and make a passport for somebody to pray for you when you probably don't have your rent for the next day. You understand? It's like, it doesn't make practical sense, because your passport's never that high expire. Like, it'll be, if you don't have, if somebody has said, hey, I'm gathering these people to go to the US and maybe you can come with us with a visiting visa, by all means, right?
Okay.
I remember I called my siblings and said, hey, if you guys want to apply for a visitor's visa so that if you get it, you can come and visit, I'll buy your ticket. If somebody like that says, okay, I'm going to go do my passport, fair and square.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
if you have no like active plans whatsoever, and you go and spend money
just
to make a
praying
passport,
for like a miracle to happen. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's practical. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes too, what that does to you is it affects your hustle. Because if you think so, you've gone to pray, so some miracle is
It's
coming.
going to happen.
It
where you're
affects
gonna-
how much effort you put into the now because you think some miracle is happening. I don't know if
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And also like belief is it's tricky, right?
Yeah.
Because that's their belief, and there is a fine line between religious beliefs and delusions. But,
a lot of it. I mean, I wouldn't call it delusions necessarily, but a lot of belief. I mean, the basic idea of faith is belief in something unseen.
yeah.
Right. Sometimes almost something you don't deserve. Like you haven't done the work for it. But it would happen for you. But I think the world we live in now, manna has stopped falling. So
Yeah.
you legit have to put in practical day-to-day life efforts if anything is going to happen for you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
to
Yeah.
have somebody pray over passports. Like
Of course.
whoever's prayed over these passports
will
isn't
not be
doing
free.
it for free.
It will not be free if I'm going to. I feel like if you, the person, you are not willing to pray your own prayer and I pray for you, I'm going to take money from you. You are asking for it. I mean, not to blame the victim, but you are making yourself scammable, that you'll be scammed. But so I think that, it's tricky, and delusions are falsely held beliefs. So
Right.
delusions and faith, they are like siblings.
Yeah,
So,
they're two sides of the same coin.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next we have this. There is a video. I think those people that go on the street and they interview
Street
people
interviews. Yep.
for content. So there was this young man who interviewed a young lady about her preference if she had to choose between
A bad boy.
a
and
bad
church
boy and a church boy or somebody in the church. And the young lady said she would choose the bad boy because she can change the bad boy by taking him to the church. That's what she basically. That's She can change him or make him to her spec or to her liking.
But what did she say about the church boy?
Did she say anything about the church
I think
boy?
she says about the church boy, almost like the church boy might be too
boring or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I think first thing, I think it's too risky to think you can change anybody. Right? If you meet somebody and you don't like them as is, you probably don't want to. It's definitely not marriage. I don't know. I don't mind if you talk small, you date small, you hope for something, but you don't want to commit to somebody when you don't like them where they are now.
With an intention that you are going to change that.
If you go in with an intention that you're going to change, do people change after marriage? Yes. Sometimes some people change. But is it worth the gamble? No. Like, it's definitely not worth a gamble that somebody might change, so you would do a question to put your neck into something like that.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it at all.
Yeah, and people might change, and sometimes it may not be the change that you want them to change. But, because again, it's a personal thing. It's the person who is deciding, I want to change. So, you cannot, in any way, change. Even me as a therapist, my job doesn't include changing people. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about the idea that church people are boring.
Yeah.
Right. I think we have, as a society, I don't know if romanticized is the word. Like, because whenever people talk about their specs, right, the level-headed person who isn't spontaneous and take their time to make decisions isn't attractive. It's like, you're boring. Some, like, we want some some chaos about you, and that's what makes you mysterious.
I mean, fight or flight can be addictive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes those relationships can spike your dopamine levels
Mm-hmm.
versus when things are
Mm-hmm.
cool and quiet. But I feel like she's young, she's young. So if one or two men break her heart, she will come to her senses. She will learn. She's young, but she has a big job to do in the future.
It's but yes, to the young people, please don't go into any relationship expecting to change somebody. I think we talked about it in one of our lives with Dr. Tanisha. If the way the person is right now, if they never change,
Exactly.
could you deal with that? If they don't change anything about them, do you feel like you can deal with them long term?
Yeah.
But if now like this, you think they have to change something for it to be a good relationship,
Yeah.
if anything, wait for that change before you commit. Wait for that change before
To
you actually
happen.
marry
Okay.
them.
Okay. Okay.
Like I think we're not necessarily saying break up with them or anything, but to wait to see the change before you sign a marriage certificate or before you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, break up with them if the person is not who you want.
right
Why with the expectation that they are going
to
to
change.
change?
See,
Then what is the
one thing that
point?
many people struggle with, right? Many non-therapists struggle with is change. If they've been dating somebody for sometimes even 3 months, it's almost as if the breakup is going to be too hard. So
Yeah.
let me see where this goes. Yeah, maybe because the other option is I break up with them and it will hurt, and I don't know when next I'll find somebody who maybe liked me as much as this person liked me,
Okay. But
right?
then you are miserable though. So it's not really.
But you already said the misery, the said misery
Yeah.
is a misery they're already comfortable with,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that
right?
makes
But the
sense.
breakup
But
is something they don't know what that would look like,
yeah.
you know. But so I'm trying to find a positive spin to this where I think we need to remind people we recognize that breakup is hard,
Yeah.
right? We're not suggesting that if your relationship isn't going anywhere or it's even getting worse, that it's easy to just snap your finger and break up and there will be no healing required and like the future is guaranteed, right? But if you stay in a miserable relationship,
Yes.
your future is guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
going to be miserable
Yeah.
and you have no chance of finding somebody who will treat you better,
Yeah.
right? But if you break up with this one, give yourself the time to heal. Now you have a chance of actually finding
Finding
somebody
somebody.
that you can be a better fit with or can build something better,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, at the end of it, just get comfortable with letting go. It's going to be tough, but just get comfortable with just letting go.
Yeah.
Letting
I
go.
think a lot of growth growth involves a lot of letting go. Growth of any kind. You're
Yeah.
going to have to learn to let go of your socialization, how you were raised and what
Yeah.
it's expected of you to be a man, how you're expected to be a woman. Sometimes you're going to have to let go of what you thought a marriage would look like.
Yeah.
You're going to have to let go of what you thought parenting would look like. So growth, just growth has a lot of letting go. So
Yeah.
dear young girl, please get comfortable with letting go of the bad boy
Yeah.
or even the good boy.
It's not worth it.
Before we move on to the next one, somebody actually said, and a piece of me thought that's where the girl was going, that there are people in the church who are church boys,
Okay.
but they are wolves in sheep clothing.
Okay.
And sometimes honestly, many churches spout the most misogynistic things
Yeah.
ever, right? So I thought that's where she was going, that the church person is a wolf in sheep's clothing, but the bad boy, you get what you
You get
get,
what? Yeah.
right? And if that's where she was going, I get it. Still don't advise
Yeah.
it, but I can get why
makes
somebody would
sense.
say I would rather take the bad boy because
Yeah.
I get what I get, But also, it shouldn't be with a goal to change them,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And she's going to take him back to that same environment
The church,
that
yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So. So the next one we are going to talk about, like when you travel from Ghana or immigrants, the jobs that they do. So there was a video of a lady talking about maybe an experience she had where she was like, "Oh, nobody or
Works in the office.
nobody works in the office, and so
Yeah.
you that you just came, why do you want to work in the office when then the other person is upset, or all of that? So
Effectively, that we all do cleaning jobs and stuff like that.
yeah,
How dare you want to
to
work in the
work,
office?
yeah. So for you, what was your process?
Yeah. Well, so when I came here, of course, I didn't have my family. I settled with a friend and his family, and we had to survive, right? At the time, even though I came in with my bachelor's degree, I was under the impression for some reason that my degree wouldn't necessarily translate.
Yeah,
I thought I had to
that's a
do some,
misconception.
right? I thought I
Yeah,
had to do some additional
no,
courses for it to to translate. So I didn't. And of course, for the people that I settled with, the jobs that they were familiar with, the places they thought they could get me in easily were
okay,
warehouse jobs in McDonald's and the McDonald's, the Wendy's, stuff like that. So yeah, I worked at McDonald's for a while actually, but luckily for me, and I guess in my hard work too, I did about 6 months or so as a prep guy, and I was tapped to be a manager.
okay,
So boom, 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 boom. I think about 2 years into McDonald's work, I was already an assistant manager
okay.
in the restaurant that I worked at. But I think many people are only as curious and hopeful as the places they settle and who's around them. Because if everybody around you only knows the tips that would help you be do a cleaning job, how are you supposed to find out that you could actually do more?
Yeah,
you know and I honestly, I don't remember how I found out I could do more. I know that, I mean, I've always wanted to be a clinical psychologist, so at some point I actually applied to OSU, got in for an undergrad, and when I met with my college advisor, she looked at my transcript and stuff, and like, why are you here to do an undergrad? This is good. You don't need another undergrad. Like, this is everything. Like, are you sure? Yeah, look into graduate schools.
okay,
Like, oh, okay. And that's when I then started looking into
yeah,
graduate schools, right? But I honestly don't remember what pushed me out of to get the idea that I could do more necessarily. But I think it comes down to the people around you, the people
yeah.
you settle around. Yeah. What was your experience?
What was my experience? I I came with family and I lived with family, so it was a bit different. But again, it's the people that were around you. Almost everyone around me, their advice that they would get is, "Oh, be a nurse." But definitely, most of the people that were around me, they would encourage go to school, but maybe be a nurse, but make sure you're going to school because you don't want to do whatever jobs that you're doing forever. So that was the advice that I
Of
got, and
course.
then I started the school process. But in between that, um or the process of doing school, I did a whole bunch of jobs. I did retail, home health aid. What else? Yeah, mostly retail, home health aid, those kind of things. Then moved to working on a college campus. So it was like progression to that. And I like the home health aid that I did because I was working at night. So I was able to go to school in the morning and then at night work, sometimes do my homework and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I never did home health aid, but I did retail. I did warehouses. I worked at restaurant, McDonald's, Wendy's. I worked at Walmart at a point, limited brands. So I
Yeah.
did a lot of those things. Even when I was in graduate school, I worked at McDonald's part time too. So I think it's one of the reasons why I like that we are in these TikTok spaces, because people can then see what's possible.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, I don't think. Then again, social media wasn't as popular at the
Yeah.
time when I moved here.
Definitely.
But I didn't. Every Ghanaian that I at the time, every Ghanaian that I met everywhere worked at some warehouse or
Okay.
some
Yeah.
restaurants
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
home health aid. I think over here in the US they call it living. You
Okay.
know, yeah. So it's like, what would make anybody in
Do
such a space
okay.
think I could be a clinical psychologist?
Yeah.
Think I could get back into medical school. So luckily for us and TikTok these days, I think there's more. I mean, Dr. Felix Ifa is Ghanaian, but is a doctor. The two of us, Dr. Tanisha. So you can see a lot of people and what's possible.
Yeah.
So that as a young person, I feel like you can kind of make a decision for yourself.
Yeah.
It won't be easy, don't get me wrong, but if you're not even aware of and trying,
Yeah.
because the small money from those places is not sustainable.
Yeah. It's yeah. And also what's the most that you can make, right? Of course, some people do McDonald's and maybe they dream of owning a franchise and
That
stuff.
was my dream at a point.
Okay,
To
yeah.
hopefully own a franchise, but it was a very, very long dream because at the time I was just an assistant manager.
Yeah.
To be a manager, to build the oomph that you need
Yeah.
to get
And
a
I'm
franchise.
sure you have to get a down payment and stuff like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so much more is possible
Mm-hmm.
than what our TikTok space shows us.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that doesn't help our community so much is people call you Tuno right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you maybe you built something and you think you want young people to see what's possible.
Yeah.
They'll tag you or you think you're all that.
Okay.
You are Tuno. So then the people who are actually doing quite well are in their small corners
Yeah.
and not sharing their secrets and not sharing, their stuff. Because I mean, honestly, if I'm trying to share tips that will help you, I'm not going to sensationalize it. I'm not going to beg you to come to my life.
No.
Right?
No.
So that means that people will keep going to the fight and listen to those fights as opposed to coming to your place where you have like great tips. Like Joy Genfi last week, for example, was doing an investment 101 where an investor came on her live to share tips, right? Dr. Felix Ifa has gone on her live before. I think King Aegon is a financial something, right? So trying to show people what's possible. Joy herself is an IT person, So like there are people out there trying to show our community that, like no disrespect to those other jobs, but you could make more by working the same 40 hours.
Yeah.
And that would give you a bit more time to actually spend with your family.
Or even less sometimes, or even less.
Yeah, exactly. Like with the right job, you can make the same amount of money or even more working significantly less hours. And that means that you can spend more time doing the things that you actually love. But I again, it comes back to the environment and what you have been socialized to think is possible.
And I think, in that video, that lady spoke as if it was maybe the absolute. And I think sometimes we as Ghanaian, we don't say, oh, I don't know. Right? Or this is not my experience. Maybe it's out there, but we use our experience to make it feel like it's the absolute, where maybe she could have said, oh, maybe tell your brother that maybe he should do this for the beginning and then he can figure out what to do next. But to say, oh, the brother even works at the airport picking people's bags and stuff, that's all we do.
How do you think you're going to end up at the office? It's almost discouraging too for the new person that has come.
Somebody who maybe came with a dream, and if you just tell them, okay, it's not possible, or this is all, it's going to be difficult for them to take. So I think just people getting comfortable with, I don't know, or maybe ask or do Google. But also the people who don't know, they are the loudest. So because they have nothing to lose. So
yeah. But I think it's important for people who come here to continue to open their circle. Like again, and sometimes social media can be used for so much good.
Yeah.
Right? Because unlike some of us and when we came and the fact that we had a limited access to information, these days the person that you came to meet, yes, may have kind of the practical things that they know, but you can actually Google so many things that they probably haven't even thought about. So please use those bits of information, and if you have to do what you need to do right now, of course you got to do that.
Of course, yeah.
And I think when the woman was speaking too, a little bit of it too was almost like the pompousness of the new guy.
Yeah.
It's like you think something is beneath you.
Yeah.
And in its own way, that's disrespectful too. Like the thing that I do that I used to bring you here, you think it's beneath you.
It's beneath you,
right? So that has its its twist to it too.
Yeah.
But so balance, finding that balance.
Definitely
you do what you need to do until you find something better, of course. Yeah. So all right. So another thing that's trended for a while now is millionaires and their stories. Somebody would come out and say, I watched 5,000 plates, to get to where I am today.
Yeah.
There are the people who say I sold cassettes. Any thoughts about kind of the stories we get from millionaires?
I think it's only Ghana that millionaires share those kind of stories, or
Mm,
they always wanted to look like, oh, I was so poor and I rose from the
mm,
ashes. When in America, I mean, people are trust fund babies. People come from good families, and they are,
you tell her.
yeah, they went to good schools. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, he
Hmm.
was at an Ivy League school. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, all these people, Elon Musk, all these people, they came from like generational wealth,
Wealth.
right? So I don't know why in Ghana we make it look like that.
Because as a society, I think we, to some level, we glorify the young, the what do you call it?
Underdog.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So if people are going to like you and support you and your
Mm-hmm.
riches, you have to have an underdog story to you. You know,
Really? But people support Bill Gates. I mean, look
but
at
he's not Ghanaian.
Facebook.
We're talking about our community. Our community. If you come out, and like Nan Papa was like my dad was quite comfortable, and he set me up with this much money. Regardless of what you're doing now, it's
Yeah.
almost as if people don't respect your hustle because like you
Okay.
got it on a silver platter, right?
Okay.
So for
Okay.
people to respect your hustle, some of these millionaires feel like they have to tell the story from the dumps,
Yeah.
But I don't think that's helpful. Like, how helpful is it that you watch 5,000
Yeah.
plates
But then if you're going to tell the story, can you at least give the process?
a little bit more than
Yeah, just I wash the plates, I sell kerosene, I did this, all of that. Then it's like, okay, but okay, so what is the process? What are the lessons? What, like, did you fail? Did you get a loan? Did you do
yeah.
this? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and for what it's worth, to be honest, it was a long interview with Bulla Ray,
Yeah.
so they covered other things, right? But the part that trended was the 5,000, plates. But it's common too, because I think many of us don't know too much about how, despite made his wealth, we know that at some
He
point he
sold
sold
cassettes.
cassettes,
Yes.
right? We don't know the steps, and I think it will be honestly, it will be very helpful for us to know some of the steps along the way,
Yeah.
you know because so for example, I mean, if I when the time comes when I'm super rich, when I'm telling my story, yes, I will talk about the fact that at some point I worked at McDonald's, but
Yeah.
I would also speak on the fact that I took federal loans to go to school to become a clinical psychologist. With my degree, found a job where I was paid clinical psychologist fee, and I saved and maybe invested that money. Went on social media, maybe used my money to buy equipment and built a social media following, and that's how I started maybe getting speaking engagements, small, and then reinvested that amount. Like, I feel like that it's more of a process
Yeah.
that doesn't almost feel like me too. I can wash plates to make money. I don't know, right? I feel like that's a process that's more practical
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
than the plates.
Yeah. It's maybe also some people don't want to share their process, or they feel like, oh, this is my secret. If I
I don't think
share
it should
it,
be that much of a secret.
maybe people are, I don't know, but it's just it gives people unnecessary stress.
Yeah. I think if you're out there, if you're already out there as a celebrity or as a business person, your life is out there anyway, like such a process shouldn't be a secret. Because I think sometimes it leaves room for people to make speculations about how you made your money.
Exactly.
You
People
know,
make
yeah,
assumptions and stuff like
because they
that.
don't
Yeah.
have the step by step
So they
information.
fill in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it's actually helpful to you, the millionaire, to actually give us some step by step in a way that actually people
Okay.
can follow and it makes sense. It's practical. And you can still have a humble beginning
Yeah.
and still be respect. I mean, you can still have like a setup of some kind, because we all know so many people who come from rich families and their life has fallen to crap, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody had some setup or some loan or some support, it does not necessarily mean that they didn't put in their hard work.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes too, I feel like some of it has to do with how we talk about people. Because some people will say things like, "Oh, if this person didn't give you this loan to do this, Nka, who are you?" You understand? Like, people are always trying to downplay a person's success. So sometimes
Yeah, they do it. I mean, they'll tell you degrees, just a paper, all of those things. So, yeah.
yeah. See that. See, so the degree, again, coming back to our society and how we're not good at balance, we're not good at empathy, because to suggest that my doctorate is just a paper, even though that's what's feeding me and putting a roof over my head, and I probably wouldn't have this life if I didn't go to school. How do you get to it being just a paper?
Give them paper and printer. Let
Let
them.
them- right. I can understand suggesting that because somebody has a degree, it doesn't make them more human than you, and
Yeah.
that they still have to respect you. But I feel like there's no excuse to trash
The degree.
the
Yeah.
hard effort.
That the person has put in. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and also you're also talking to your younger siblings. You're talking to people who are impressionable, and if you start putting in their head that degree is just a paper,
That's what they would internalize and grow up with. That a degree is
just a piece of paper.
it's just a piece of paper.
And then
yeah.
a few years down the line, we are wondering why our youngsters aren't going to school or trying to build certain things for themselves,
Yeah.
because degree is such a,
Just
it's only
a
just a
paper.
paper. And I guess while I'm on that topic about the people internalizing things, what's your thoughts on social media role models, right? Because people do, just like what I just said, like younger people are learning from you, So how much are we responsible for what younger people internalize versus their parents, and their
Well-
communities?
Well, first of all, the parent has the bigger role to play, right? I cannot raise your child for you. So it's definitely the parents who have to monitor who even their children are watching on social media and making sure. And then I cannot also control or dictate to somebody, oh, I'm your role model or I'm not. It's something that I feel like you cannot control. And whatever you do, you will have your own people who want to look up to you and do what you do, whether you are doing something good or something bad. So at the end of the day, it comes back to the parents making sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I asked that because a lot of people would come at an influencer or social media person and say, "Nkoraisha, like kids are looking at you. Why are
Okay.
you acting this way?"
Okay.
And sometimes I'm like, well, this person has no responsibility to
Yeah.
your child.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
that, almost like they have a moral responsibility
Okay.
to care about the society, but you can't come for me saying, it's like,
Exactly,
you
right.
raise your child, you can't put that
Yeah.
on me. So it's like that balance.
Yeah.
like,
You make sure that you know what they are watching. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And one area that I hear that a lot is you're giving people pressure. It's like, I'm living my life. I've worked hard for what I have. But
In
if
what way? Like,
no, like if somebody posts, like, especially, these socialites, they would post like their new car or whatever it is.
oh, I know they
And
do here and they come
because-
you hear me a hunch and I had to come that one dear.
like
What
those-
will be your car? What be Kasada? If somebody has that car or has more than that car,
will they come and complain?
no,
Yeah.
they won't. They won't. So that one dear.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. No, but I agree with you. It's like, somebody, like I said, somebody will come and post their new car, whatever it is, and somebody will come and post that you are giving our young girls pressure, and I mean, Hajja for real issue didn't help the matter. But there are times when the person is like has been acting for years and they have their money and they have their investment, and that's how they legitimately came by this thing. But you are saying that they're giving young girls pressure. It's like, why can't I live my life because some young girl somewhere would assume that I just got it overnight?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I've been out here for almost 15 years. If you see that the fridge in my house is nice, you see I'm giving you pressure. Even though
That's what I'm telling
the
you. They
15
don't
years
have
of
it.
hustle, Charlie, where were you when I was working?
They don't have it, right?
You know.
They when you were hustling or being poor, they wouldn't tell you that you are giving people pressure to be poor.
Yeah.
They won't tell you that, but yeah, that one, they don't have it. Yeah.
So, as usual, thank you all for joining us on this episode. We will try to do more something like this, right? Episode by episode. Every episode will be different, of course.
Yeah.
But we will try to touch on the trending topics and come at it from a more nuanced perspective. And the goal is to get more people to also approach things that way, because I don't think it's ever that black and white.
Yeah.
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 And I think many times we go into situations with a ton of vision. Like you see the issue, you get an idea,
And that's it.
zoom.
Yeah.
Like and that's where you're going with, But when you actually challenge yourself to step back small or actually be open to
Yeah.
other people's opinions on the issue, you get a bigger breath, and you can actually. I think there's more progress.
Yeah.
In that approach to
Done.
things
Yeah.
than how we currently are approaching things. So we encourage you all to do more and more of that, and we will see you next week
Next
with
week
our next episode.
for the next episode. Thank you. Like, subscribe.